Show me your moves.
And welcome to Geek Life. We're here with another episode of Geek Life. How are you guys doing, Twitch? How are you doing today? For those of you who are new to the channel, we are your source for all the nerdy news you need to know. We are about a 2-hour mashup of all the pop culture you know and love. We talk about video games, we talk about movies, we talk about TV, comics, cosplay, and all things nerdy. So let's get right to it. Joining me today is a man that you have only seen, the only man to have seen the top of the slime climb and lived to tell the tale. The man, the myth, the legend, Jake the Great. How are you doing today, Jake?
Doing great, Dodd. How are you?
I'm doing good. And also joining me live from the Phantom Zone, Bronwyn the Warrior Princess joins the fray. How are you doing today, Bronwyn?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. It has been a rough weekend for me. I did a stream last night for Fall Guys, and I got pretty wasted. I was trying to kind of jump on the train there, and I've spent the entire day nursing a terrible hangover. Just so that everybody knows here that is watching us live in chat, hangovers get worse as you get older, and nobody gave me a memo because that was hands down the worst hangover I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, no, they definitely progress with age. They get worse the older you get, like most things.
I wonder if it gets worse, or maybe you just drink less so you're less used to it. Like maybe
so.
We just make our livers so strong when we're young and like drinking all the time.
That is true.
That's a good point. What's the latest binge, guys? What have you guys been getting into lately?
I've been binging a hard dose of reality. Haven't had any time to get into any shows or games, but that night tonight I'll change it.
Tonight you'll break that streak. What about you? What about you, Jake?
Dude, I'm living for HBO Sundays again. They got me with the new documentary, The Vow. It's about cults, and that always is an instant watch from Jake. And so I love all things cults. And then they also got Lovecraft Country coming on Sundays, and then also Raised by Wolves, which I'm going to talk about later. And so, no, dude, it's HBO Sundays are back. I don't know if they ever went anywhere, but And so that's pretty much, I've been living for that right now. And then playing the hell out of Madden, dude. I'm a basic bitch.
Yeah. That'll do it. I think I've just been streaming. I've been playing Avengers mostly whenever I can.
Oh, dude. Avengers is getting some attention next. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, so before we get started, I want to do a quick reminder, everyone, that if you like what you see here on the show tonight, feel free to give us a follow at Geek Life Live or any of our social medias. You can follow us for even more content on our personal social medias. Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on both Twitch and the Twitterverse, and I believe it's right over here.
Yeah. Oh, what about you, Ron?
Other way. You can find me on Twitch and on Instagram right over here.
Space Nuts.
Oh, she got it right her first time. Damn it.
Yeah. And then you can always find me at Bruce Bain on Twitter and Twitch. Did I get it right the first time? I think I did. Oh, did I? Yeah, I did. At Twitter and Twitch. Boom, right there. At Bruce Bain. I stream stuff. I tweet stuff. You should follow me. I have a lot of good stuff on there. But yeah, we've got a great show planned for you guys today. We need to get into it. So, Jake, hit us with that rundown.
Yeah, well, Dodd, when people ask me, do you really have a great show planned every week? I always have to tell them, no, every week is the best show that week, Yeah. And so tonight is the best show of this week, and we only do it once a week. But anyway, we're going to get right into it. We're going to open up our TV guides for some TV news from the small screen. And speaking of small, grab your little tea mugs and some Baby Yoda merch because Mando is back, baby. And as if that's not enough TV news, Scotty's going to beam us up for some Star Trek news. And to put the cherry on top, we've got a lot of premieres this past week. So many premieres that Zombie Joan Rivers couldn't even shake a mic at him. I know, I hope that's not too soon. Next, we're going bigger on the screen size and throwing sticky shit on the floors because it's time for some movie news. New Mutants, same problems. Rob
real,
Pat, Bob Pat, Rob Pat, Bat Pat. I don't know.
Bat
Anyway, Robert Pattinson got COVID. And so, what does that mean for Batman, though? And finally, is the mouse?
It comes from bats.
That is true. And finally, is the mouse racist? Nah, right? Right?
No,
the mouse can't be, right?
Never, right?
Anyway,
yeah. Walt Disney had a
talk about
clean record on racial issues, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And then next up, we're going to be asking that you purchase the game DLC for this week's video game news rundown. Sorry about that. But in other news, we'll be talking about India's huge app ban and something about a Wii-sized Game Boy. And Dodd will tell you everything that you need to know about Dragon Con Remote this week. And finally, we'll deep dive. And as always, finally, we'll deep dive, as always. And in this week's deep dive topic is, can you cancel culture?
Say that
which
5 times fast.
makes a very easy transition into our top Zen, which is the top 10 actually good shows that got canceled in 2020. And so definitely an awesome show tonight. But let's get right into it, into the action in TV headlines. Dotson, what's going on in the world of TV?
Well, we got to start off with some Mandalorian news. First off, Mandalorian Season 2 premiere date confirmed, y'all. I am so stoked for this. We've got... earlier this week, Disney announced that Season 2 of the acclaimed Star Wars series will start streaming on Disney Plus from Friday, October 30th. Or will start streaming on Disney Plus on Friday, October 30th. This news was confirmed by Disney Plus in a tweet, and fans are stoked to have it more than just a few weeks away. I mean, October 30th, the day. Oh man, does that mean Halloween's gonna be on a Saturday this year and we can't fucking go outside? That's bullshit. Oh man, I'm sorry. I just had this realization here on Twitch. Got to cope with that. All right. But yes, we'll be able to check out. At least we'll have Mandalorian by that time, right? We'll be able to sit inside at home and cry about not being able to go outside for Halloween while watching Mandalorian. At least the first episode. So that's pretty cool. And this news comes after reports of a dude on a jetpack was flying at 30,000 feet in LAX. This is a true story, by the way. I don't know if you heard this, but there were literally sightings by multiple planes over LAX of someone in a jetpack at 30,000 feet. All right, that's not like that's high up in the air. Okay, that's higher, taller than buildings. That's not like the little shit that you see on the lake where someone's got the little water jetpack and they're like flying like 30 feet off the ground. This is 3,000 feet in the air. With all this craziness going on, I just don't understand. Is this all a coincidence, Jake, or is this some amazing viral marketing scheme? Do we got Mandos coming into LAX? What's going on?
Dude, honestly, it's 2020, so I would not doubt if this is the year that we finally get like the jetpacks that we've all wanted, right?
Yeah.
But then also, if it is a marketing scheme, it's a pretty freaking impressive one by Disney Plus. But I wouldn't, put it past the mouse. They got the money. If anybody's going to be trying to pull out some giant jetpacks for or flying 30,000 feet up in the air, it's going to be Disney. And so, but no, just like you guys, I'm super stoked for Mando coming back. And hopefully this wasn't a market employee. Hopefully I'll have a jetpack by the end of the year.
I know, right? All right. And with that, big viral marketing campaign, and talking about people in space and talking about
the future.
What's going on in the final frontier, Star Trek is crossing over some new frontiers and encroaching in a new territory as far as representation goes. Tell us a little bit about that, Bronwyn.
Yeah, so the Star Trek universe has always been known as an inclusive place that wasn't hindered by the same kind of division faced in our modern day. This aspect of the advanced futuristic society shown on screen has attracted fans of all races and genders. In this new season of Star Trek Discovery, they will be introducing their first non-binary and trans characters. Blue Del Barrio is a non-binary actor who will be playing Adira, a hyper-intelligent being who forms unexpected bonds with the main characters. Another new character being introduced to the series is Gray, a trans male character played by the 19-year-old actor Ian Alexander. he's described as empathetic and said to have adapted to situations when life takes an unexpected turn.
Well, that is certainly interesting news, and I'd like to see more representation in all of our pop culture that we have. So I definitely think it's great. And you also, when you have stories like this, and Star Trek is really, really good at doing this, at shining a light and having you empathize with people that you may not be familiar with, or you may not have the same life experiences as. Star Trek's kind of been a pioneer in that for a long time. It's great to see them do something like this and start to include more people, more genders on the spectrum when it comes to inclusive casting.
Yeah, no, and Star Trek's always had a pretty inclusive, cast. They were, they've always been trailblazers there, so it only makes sense, that they keep on, I guess, attempting it. So,
yeah,
exactly. Well, in other news, it was a premium week for premieres. Jake, you've got a rundown on all the stuff that's going on this week. We've had a lot of really, really great stuff as far as TV series coming on. Why don't you give us give us the deets.
Yeah, no, and I don't even have everything right at my disposal, but the two big ones that I know that I was excited for, and I think everyone else will be, The Boys Season 2 premiered. And the first 3 episodes of the 8-episode season dropped Friday, and it's been pretty awesome so far. I don't know about you guys, but it's great that the show picked up right where it left off. And without giving any spoilers, Black Noir is just life for me right now. Like, that dude is so badass. And, it's just great to have Homelander, like back on screen again, too, and his crazy antics, the opposite of what Superman, I guess, would have turned out to be, the 2020 version of Superman. So, like, really, The Boys making its comeback right now is it makes a lot of sense. And Rotten Tomatoes liked it too. It got a certified fresh rating within 24 hours. And I believe it had over 80 something reviews, with only like 3 of them being remotely negative. And so The Boys, one of the few shows the internet loves. and then the other premiere this week was HBO's Raised by Wolves. I got a chance to check out the first 2 episodes of it. It's by the creator of Alien, and tons of other bangers, but Ridley Scott, and it premiered on Thursday. The first 3 episodes of it so far have been pretty awesome, and I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's as if the streaming services want to give you 3 episodes to get you completely hooked on something, and then like make you wait weekly for it, right? But the show is awesome so far. And I'm really loving its kind of spooky sci-fi-ish world and everything that it's really setting up. Essentially, these 2 androids are having to raise these children on a barren wasteland after a great war has pretty much left Earth destroyed.
That seems right up Ridley Scott's ballpark, too.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. And so it's really got an alien vibe, but, on a smaller scale, right? Because, it's a weekly thing. And so I actually got a chance to watch the first 2 episodes of the 3 that dropped. And oh man, it's after the show tonight. I'm definitely going to be watching episode 3. But Braun, did you get a chance to check out any of these premieres?
I haven't, but I'm excited. I think I'm about to dive into The Boys later tonight, and I hadn't heard of Raised by Wolves, but based on your description and Ridley Scott's involvement, that's totally my cup of tea, and I'll give that a watch as well.
I got a chance to check out the first 3 episodes of The Boys. I think I'm actually a little bit further than you, Jake. And it was...
Yeah, I only got 2 of each, and so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't get any Raised by the Wolves, so there's the trade-off there, which I'm definitely going to try to go check out. But I definitely love the world that they're building. I mean, it's not the first show to take on, like, a realistic approach to superheroes in not just the powers sense, but the like political sense. I think Watchmen was a good idea that they kind of try to ground that. You had movies like Super that tried to really ground them, but I don't think anyone's really nailed it like The Boys has. And like it is one of those shows where I really don't know what's going to happen next, and it could be very graphic and violent, and in the best ways possible. And also, let me tell you, the soundtrack, banger, absolute banger.
Oh, dude, they have a phenomenal soundtrack. It's good to see Gus, or the guy who plays Gus. I shouldn't call him Gus. I should actually learn how to pronounce his real name. But Breaking Bad's Gus Fring.
Yeah.
He's in it as well, and it's good to see him back. And no, dude, The Boys, definitely one of my favorite shows. Season 1 left off, pretty like, I was like, oh my God, what are they gonna do? And I'm so glad season 2 didn't start with like some like years later or something like kind of crazy like that. It kind of like just picks up. And so, nah, dude, it's been awesome so far. Super excited for some more episodes to drop Friday.
Boom. Yeah, I'm super excited to see it too, man. I think it's been building a really, really cool world, and I can't wait to see how things pick up from here, what they go with it. Little is Nelly's excited about it as well, as you can see by the chat. But we've got a lot of movie news going on as well. The New Mutants opened last weekend. And it is the best opening in months. But Brom, why don't you tell them about the story?
Yeah, so despite describing the New Mutants as the newest flop last week, its opening weekend was surprisingly successful. With so many releases being pushed back, there isn't much we can compare it to, but to give you some perspective, Unhinged brought in 2.6 million and New Mutants brought in 7 million. So not the biggest box office weekend, but definitely the biggest in a while. Mm-hmm. And how do you guys think this might compare to something like Mulan going to video on demand for the higher price, or Tenet having its own theatrical release? Do you think those are just going to blow this out of the water? Because this film didn't get the best ratings. I think people might have just been like eager to go see a film in theaters that was new.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but terrible reviews about it, honestly. And so I think that people were. I do think you're right. I think that people wanted to go see the movies. I don't blame them. I love going to the movies. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I definitely miss it. But I'm certainly not going to go over there to see the New Mutants. And they had a lot of problems in kind of like post-production. I didn't look too much into this, but there was a lot of writers that I believe that were upset about. Well, one, I think they misspelled one of the creative director's names or something like that. There was a name misspelling. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Yeah, they misspelled the name of the the writer of the comic book.
Oh, well, yeah, that's kind of an important one not to fuck up.
Kind of an important one, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, I was excited to see Tenet, and then we went to go buy the tickets, and it was $30, and it was like, oh my God, like a ticket? And so we decided like to kind of like chill. Yeah, the Alamo Draft House near me. Yeah, they were going to show Tenet, and we were like, all right, let's go. But then like, nah, it was way too expensive.
Is that $30 with like your meal and everything too?
No, it was just $30. Okay, but it was for two. And so it's basically like $15 a ticket for Tenet.
Yeah.
And so, but then that didn't include popcorn, drinks, anything like that. And so we were kind of just like, we'll just wait.
Yeah, Alamo Draft House is expensive. I usually go there when I'm trying to be bougie, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but that's the thing is that it's still like I'm in my car. It's a drive-through experience or a driving experience. And you only get like, you have to prepay for your food and you get no beers. Like you can't go get any beers or anything like that. Right. And so like, technically, you could bring your own stuff, I guess, but they do say you're not supposed to. But how are they going to police what's in my car? I guess you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
And
they're not going to search your car. They shouldn't, at least. No. That'd be a horrible thing to do in COVID just to save some money.
I do love the fact that New Mutants is like framing this as like we're the largest box office hit in the country right now. You know, and it's like $7 million.
$7 million is nothing to be celebrating about. But, I mean, it is the best in months, but it is.
But I do love Bronwyn's question about like how do you think it'll compare to Mulan going straight to kind of like because I've seen like such polar opposites. Okay, so like on Facebook, I've seen older people that are talking about like if you haven't rented Mulan, you need to go rent Mulan now, right? Because like my friends with kids and family and everything, right? I guess it's made sense, right?
Right.
But then I've seen younger generation people on TikTok just shitting on it, like talking about how like you mean I need to pay $30 for something I already pay a monthly fee for? Like fuck out of here, Disney. And so like it's going to be interesting to see how Mulan does and if Disney gives those numbers. I'm assuming Disney will, and so I'm excited to see if they drop like how did Mulan do in its like opening week, if you will.
Right. I mean, you have to understand. I think that the difference there is like there are so many parents out there that would pay $30 for 2 hours of reprieve from their children.
Yeah.
You know, and and so I think that those parents, you know, they set it on and had their family watching down, like, oh, this is actually quite great. It's a high production value. But Mulan has been, we're going to talk a little bit more about Mulan, I think, later. Actually, no, we don't have any more stuff about Mulan. But one of the big things that were happening with Mulan is there's actually a big boycott going on with Mulan right now in the pro-democracy side of China because of Disney's kind of capitulation towards the Chinese government and basically trying to make sure that they play by China's rules in the most in the strictest sense of those words, because they're trying to protect their dollar. But
Mulan is going to get the Chinese dollar. I bet it's going to do great internationally.
I think it will. I mean, and it's going to be released in theaters internationally. And so that's
because we're still locked inside. Great job, America.
I know, right? We do so good. Number 1 in COVID cases. Number 1.
And that's a great setup.
We always win.
I know. That is a great setup. Speaking of being number 1 in COVID cases, an American hero, or at least in the comic book world, he is, has been tested positive for COVID. And it turns out that, bats do carry COVID.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about this, Jake.
Yeah. After pausing production near the start of the pandemic and being off the grid for months, the film finally returned to production in London. And this is about the Batman, which we all got hyped up about because we saw a trailer and then quickly found out that they were like, oh, yeah, but we've only filmed like 15% of the movie or like 20-something% of the movie.
Yeah.
But then we heard this awesome news that it was back in production. But now we're getting reports from Variety that are saying that a member of the production team has tested positive for COVID-19 and then contracted. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up on my words. And then then gave the virus to Robert Pattinson, essentially.
Yeah. But
production has not stopped completely. Variety now reports that the Batman has not actually has not actually stopped production, but they were going to be doing just like some parts of the movie that don't require Robert Pattinson and staying up to, like par on all their safety, stuff that everyone has to kind of like adhere to at the moment. Right. But they will continue with Rob Pat's part of the movie after a 2-week quarantine period. And so, that begs the question, will this be good for his Bat voice? Yeah.
I mean, I think that it definitely could improve, get that gruff in there, right? Really. Yeah. They don't even need to do special effects anymore, right? They just start filming while he still has the COVID throat.
Where's the trigger? Like I'm trying to think of like a good. Where's the COVID-19 testing center?
Exactly.
But no, and we also I think we called this.
We did. Like I feel like we really did. I think in one of the last couple of shows we were sitting there talking about like whether or not Batman was going to be safe from the COVIDs because they were resuming production. But I mean, and we all thought here that it's probably not safe, but they got a bunch of money to be able to test people and stuff like that. So, and
it makes sense that such a loving person like Robert Pattinson, he was probably giving hugs, left.
Yeah. Left and right.
Yeah.
But that isn't the only controversy in Hollywood right now. John Boyega has been reflecting on some of the stuff that's happened in Star Wars. And talks about the Black experience in Hollywood. I don't know if any of you guys have got to look at some of this John Boyega stuff this week, but he really, really took Disney to task here. And John Boyega, he's been really busy lately. If you didn't catch his speech at the BLM march he participated in, I would highly recommend it. I got chills just listening to that. One of the parts that stood out to me, though, in that speech was, I might not have a career after this. And I thought that was kind of weird because, Disney's been trying to push towards inclusion, and obviously people, Mark Hamill backed him up, and all the writers backed him up. But it kind of felt like out of place for him to do that. I feel like everyone's kind of been on the BLM bandwagon. But earlier this week in an interview with GQ, we learned a bit more. We already knew that he was one of the only cast members that had people say they were going to boycott the show because he was in it just because of his race. And he's quoted actually reflecting on just that. I'm the only cast member. This is a quote from Boyega. I'm the only cast member who has had their own unique experience based on the franchise or franchise based on race. Let's just leave it at that. Which he still continues. It makes you angry with a process like that. It makes you much more militant. It changes you because you realize I got given this opportunity, but I'm in an industry that wasn't even ready for me. Nobody else in the cast has had people saying they were going to boycott the movie because they were in it. Nobody else had the uproar and death threats sent to their Instagram and social media saying black this, black that, you shouldn't be a stormtrooper. Nobody else has had that experience, yet people are surprised that I'm this way. That's my frustration. And he's not wrong. I mean, he is wrong about the fact that he's not the only cast member. There was actually another cast member that did this exact same thing, went through this exact same experience when she was cast, which was Kelly Marie Tran. She even left Instagram due to the online harassment from the Star Wars community, and it's just a very, very toxic community. He continued vocalizing his frustrations about how the movie focused on Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver, and their prominence in the film, and they brought up how. And that's when he did actually bring Kelly Marie Tran into the conversation. Said how she left Instagram and the online community due to the harassment. And I mean, I think that Brum, what do you think? Do you think his points here are valid?
I mean, I think that if it's how he feels and it's his experiences, then what he's having to say is valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I think you're right. I think that he and especially Jake, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but or caught this the first time around, but it did seem like this was when he came out as the stormtrooper, there was a lot of flack there, and it's mostly because in Star Wars lore they are all. They're all supposed to be clones, but they explained that within the first 3 dialogues of the movie that the clones had died out, and so they started recruiting people from the general public, meaning there could be a black stormtrooper. And the film did focus a lot on Daisy Ridley. The film did focus a lot on Adam Driver,
and she got a lot of hate too. Though. No, she got a lot of hate too, though. There was a lot of hate towards Daisy Ridley being kind of essentially. I mean, there was a lot of misogynistic shit said about her, and so a lot of people in this film, except for maybe Adam Driver, because straight white male playing a pretty angry dude, that's pretty pigeonholed right there. They pretty much nailed that casting, and so he never really got as much flack, I don't feel like. But then he even got a little hate. All these movies had people that hated on the people that was in it because Star Wars has a pretty toxic community overall. But what John, what he's saying is it makes a lot of sense. And honestly, there were shots of him in trailers and everything. A lot of the movie was marketed around him, and I think for him not to have a little bit more into the story, definitely I can see where he's coming from there. And so. It's disappointing Disney didn't do more, but then at the same time, Star Wars was always going to follow kind of around the Jedis, right? And so, it kind of went its own way and started following the Jedis and all that story and everything, and with Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver more so. But I understand what he means and definitely get his frustration, because they obviously had something planned out for them in the story, and with Finn, it's they were oh shit. This character's kind of popular, let's try to give him some more screen time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I agree, man. I think that he should have gotten more screen time. I think that Disney did kind of do him dirty here, and I think that they used basically a person of color for their marketing scheme. They wanted to say, "Oh, we're super inclusive," but they really weren't. They actually did build a really cool storyline with John Boyega's character. I mean, having an ex-stormtrooper is a really, really interesting element, and they really didn't play on that much.
Yeah.
It's let's just put it here to be here. And that's that's how it feels.
Sell some tickets.
Yeah, just trying to sell some tickets. Well, speaking of selling right now, Fall Guys has become the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time, even further skyrocketing its popularity. Jake, why don't you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, Dotson, like you said, Fall Guys becomes the most downloaded PlayStation Plus game of all time. Fall Guys snatched the crown as the most downloaded game ever on the PS5 Plus subscription service, Sony said in a statement on Wednesday. The cutesy, chaotic battle royale game has been free for subscribers of the PlayStation Online gaming service since earlier this month, and PS4 players have been raving about it on social media ever since. As of today, Fall Guys, the game, is the most downloaded PS Plus game of all time on a global basis. Congrats to Mediatonic, the company tweeted earlier this week. PS4 players aren't the only ones getting in on the action, though. Fall Guys is among the top 10 games on Steam, and as I'm writing this, it was currently at number 4.
Yeah.
Dodd, I actually saw that you got a little chance to play some Fall Guys, and got a little saucy. How was your hangover? I mean, how was Fall Guys?
It was good. It was good. I think I started off really well and then kind of torpedoed towards the end there. But Fall Guys is just talking about Fall Guys is starting to make me nauseous with that. For those of y'all that are just tuning in, I did a drinking game with Fall Guys last night, and like halfway through, we thought we weren't drinking enough, and so we upped the ante to every time you lose.
Oh my God, yeah. Because you play a lot of games, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we played a lot for that. I think it's only like a 2-hour stream, but it was pretty. I could definitely see to go back to the point of the story. I can definitely see why it's one of the most downloaded games of all time. It's super easy to play, drop in and out. You know, like I could have my mom on the couch sitting next to me and be like, hey, play this Fall Guys game, and she'd get it. You know, like it might take her a little while to figure out how to work a controller, but that's what's going to take her the longest time, not actually figuring out the rules of the game or how to reload or any of that kind of stuff.
Or, I mean, the fruit game, the fruit matching, she could do that one day one. You know, like there's so many of those mini games that like I think just about anybody could just pick up and start playing. And I think that's what makes it, you know, one of the most popular games on the planet right now.
Yeah. Yep, and I can see why. I can definitely see why. Well, speaking of cutesy, successful video games, the company that has made their fortune off of cutesy video games, Nintendo, turns 35 this month, and they decided to celebrate the occasion with a Nintendo Direct. I don't know if you guys caught this Nintendo Direct, but they announced several games, including Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which includes Sunshine, Odyssey, and 64 combined.
Yeah, super pumped.
Super Mario World 3D and Bowser's Fury.
Bought.
And they have a Mario Kart Live. Did you guys check this out at all? Mario Kart Live? The home circuit?
No.
So this is really cool. It lets you use a Nintendo Switch system to play actual race cars. Like you get a physical car and you create your own track and you can use the Switch to control them. And it basically makes it into like a half and half video game, like half actual real first person thing and actual video game.
Wow.
Now, well, this is really cool. It's $100
Oh, wow. Do you set up your own courses too? Oh,
you set up your own courses.
Oh.
Yeah, like there's some pictures of it online that you can see of where you can kind of like make your own courses and you can get super creative with it. And I don't know how necessarily they have it all set up, but you know, it looks like a really cool idea. It's something I'm definitely excited about, like checking out or at least seeing once or twice. I think that would be great, something for like, you know, back when we're able to actually go out into bars and everything like that. Like if you were at a video game bar kind of thing, that would be something cool for everybody to be able to watch.
Dude, people would be getting fucked up and just playing that all night long. Mario Circuit would be so much fun. Oh man, because drinking and driving, not the real drinking and driving. If you're gonna drink and drive, Mario Kart, drink and drive. Yeah, the game. It's dangerous, but oh my god, is it one of the most fun you'll ever have. If you've never played drinking and driving Mario Kart style, that's one of the best ones. And so these bundles though, they're gonna hurt the wallet. $100 for Mario Kart Live home circuit, $60 for the Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I've heard that the Super Mario 3D All Stars, which is Sunshine, Odyssey, and 64, is going to come in at $60 as well. And then we have a Game and Watch Super Mario, which I think that may what is that?
It's
another
probably going to be like $60 too. And I don't understand how the Nintendo sells this crap for $60 because it's like, what if we made one of our new games and made them crappier and sold it for the same price? You know, like
I'm definitely buying Mario All Stars though. That's definitely getting bought. I've got to play Mario 64 remastered on my Switch. It's just got to happen. You know,
definitely.
They got me there. Now they may not get me on the Mario home circuit, and they may not get me on Game and Watch, and they may not get me on Super Mario and Bowser's Fury. But that one may be looking good too. Yeah. Damn you, Nintendo.
Damn you, Nintendo. Exactly. Well, in a little bit more somber news, Fortnite players gather at the Black Panther Shrine in the Fortnite game centered to honor Chadwick Boseman. Brahman, you know a little bit more about this story. Can you give us the rundown on that?
Yeah, so floating right outside of Misty Meadows, a Black Panther statue appeared within days of Chadwick Boseman's passing. This has been a place for people to come and gather in order to pay their respects. There's also buzz of a Black Panther skin that could be released soon in the game. A Fortnite leaker, HypeX, confirms files for Black Panther's absorption abilities being used in games so you can fight like the Wakanda hero.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, have you seen other endearing ways that fans have been showing tribute to him?
I've seen a lot of different endearing ways. I think one of the ones that actually made me cry, I will fully admit this on stream, this did make me cry. It was kids that had all their superhero toys, and they had them all in like a circle, and then they had the Chadwick Boseman in the middle, and it was just the kids that were looking down. It was like different images of these kids, and you could just see that like we've never really we built this Marvel universe and everything like that, and we've been a part of it. And for those kids, that this is like their I mean, it was, for me, it's such a big thing, going to see a new Marvel movie. I get stoked about it and everything like that. But for them, those are the toys they play with when they run around outside, and those are the characters that they bond with in that same way that I bonded with characters like that when I was younger. And I just can't imagine the pain of go through, especially if you're a person of color, and the representation token that he really gave to the world with that, to show, to make some little kid look up and be like, hey, I can be a superhero too. They're not always white, and seeing, to get back to your question, seeing those kids pay tribute in that way, oof, that hurt. That was powerful,
Oh yeah, no, 100%. It's been great to see just the overall internet support in the world, kind of like crying over this. Not really crying over it, but mourning. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. And so it was really cool of Fortnite to do this, and I hope a couple of other games and everything will show tribute in other ways too. It'll be really cool to see how other people can kind of pay tribute to the Wakandan hero. I'm excited to see what the Black Panther franchise does next too. I hope they follow in the comic books and kind of hand the power over to his sister, and we see that go.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really great. That's been going around on the internet a lot, and I think that's a great way to kind of tie things up.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. In much less somber news, did you guys see Pokemon Master Sex was trending on Twitter this week?
I did not.
I did not.
But tell me more though.
So let me get into this. I'm going to tell you why Pokemon Master Sex was trending this week. First off, no, there is not a Pokemon BDSM simulator in the works. Okay. Pokemon Masters is a mobile game that you may have heard about, but it's been an up and down ride for Pokemon Masters. Let's just say. Have you either of you guys played Pokemon Masters by any chance? Have you heard of Pokemon Masters at all?
I've heard of it, but I haven't got a chance to play it.
Yeah. So basically the idea of it is instead of it's a turn-based RPG. Think about it playing Final Fantasy, except instead of having your characters, you have legendary trainers from the anime. So that you'll have Red and Charizard, and that'll be a sync pair, and then you use those sync pairs to compete against other people versus having actual Pokemon kind of thing. It's like instead of using your Charizard, you're using Red's Charizard and Cynthia's Garchomp or something like that.
Yeah.
So on their 1-year anniversary, they went through a bit of a rebranding and named themselves Pokemon Masters EX. But because Pokemon loves to add unnecessary letters to their titles, Pokemon X and Y and all that kind of stuff to make it sound. But clearly they didn't think this one through on the branding, because as soon as the topic started trending on Twitter, it became clear that they had a naming problem. This is not the first time that Pokemon has accidentally named something that had sexual connotations. Last year, Pokemon introduced V-cards into the card game. And so, yeah, there's if you're at a TCG tournament and someone says, hey, I want to trade V-card with you, calm down. It could mean something actually genuinely a genuine proposition, and not some kind of creepy way to hit on you. But yeah, the jokes haven't stopped about the V cards ever since.
Yeah.
So, Jake, did you catch this trending on Twitter this week?
I don't, but I wish I would have because oh man, it's a classic marketing mix-up, where like they're just like, oh yeah, our name's Pokemon Masters, and we'll throw EX at the end of it because, like you said, Pokemon loves to do that. They just love to throw like some random bullshit, like throw some letters at the end, and so no, but this is a hilarious way for that to go trending. Pokemon really should lean into it and come out with that BDSM game you were talking about earlier.
Your safe
It's
word
like
is Pikachu.
It's like the creators are so wholesome; they just don't realize this is happening, and it keeps happening.
Exactly.
I know, right? What do you mean V cards is a bad naming convention? Please explain that one to me.
Yeah. Something could be lost in translation too.
Something could be lost in translation. Absolutely. Well, speaking of translations and speaking of things that are going on elsewhere outside of the world, in our other news, India has had a big mobile app ban. And Jake, you know a little bit more about that. Tell us what's going on with India.
Yeah, no, man. On Wednesday, India had a huge mobile app ban. They banned more than 100 mobile apps, including the hugely popular mobile gaming app PUBG, after banning 59 Chinese apps in the first round earlier this year. The apps were banned, citing concerns of data security after fresh tensions between India and China in the border area in eastern Ladakh. And I'm pretty sure I said that wrong, but whatever. A total of 118 apps have been banned since they started doing all these different bans, according to an official statement. The banned mobile apps are dude, I cannot talk today. Are prejudiced due to sovereignty. So pretty much anybody from China, any apps from China, Russia, anybody that could be considered kind of like a threat to India at the moment, they're just banning those apps. Wow. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology received several complaints from various sources, including reports about misuse of some mobile apps available on the Android and iOS platforms. The complaints alleged stealing and basically stealing and then transmitting user data to unauthorized manners of servers. And so pretty much the data was going outside of India. And so India was like, whoa, we do not want to see our users' data being, going to all these other random countries. What's interesting is that India is okay with their user data going to like America or the UK or, like pretty much any other country to where like those are. But right now it's just amongst these rising tensions with China. They don't want any user data going over to China. And so, yeah, banned 118 apps so far. Braun, do you think TikTok may be next?
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, TikTok already got banned with it. They were part of it.
Yeah. No, they definitely TikTok was definitely part of it. So that was a terrible transition.
I mean, I think that it's what it will do is stir the liar in chief in order to give him more reasons to ban TikTok over here in the United States. That's one thing I think it will do.
Definitely. It's just kind of opens the door to like, hey, look at all these other countries that are banning it. Like I've actually heard people say, if America bans TikTok, I'm moving to Canada. And then it was like, oh, you haven't heard Canada's thinking about banning TikTok too.
There you go. Yeah, they're thinking about it. If you're a TikTok fan right now, I mean, it's just save your content, back it up somewhere.
Yeah, there'll be a new app or create a new app.
It is going to be interesting to see if something like PUBG ends up getting banned in America, because the India ban, of PUBG, that's kind of like
that's a new pretty spotlight.
That's a huge. That's a pretty big game. That's like Fortnite getting banned somewhere, and so. It'll be interesting to see if we're not even talking about TikTok in a few weeks from now. We're talking about PUBG getting banned in America.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something that is a possibility, and that would leave a lot of gamers upset.
Oh yeah,
and there's definitely conservative gamers in there that probably would vote for him, that won't vote for him if he does that. So I wouldn't be surprised I really wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Well, in completely unrelated news to that story, a modeler makes a Wii size version of, or sorry, a Game Boy size version of a Wii. Brahman, you have a little bit more details about this.
Yes, did somebody say crossover episode? The Wii Boy Color takes two of our favorite Nintendo systems and merges them into one. It looks and feels like a Game Boy, but this modded Wii allows you to play your favorite Wii games portably. Using a custom circuit board, 3D printed case, a screen from a car backup camera, and pieces from a GameCube controller, they were able to almost perfectly replicate the Game Boy Color. Some exceptions include left and right triggers to make the gameplay compatible, but they even have custom settings to mimic the Wiimote functions. Jake, have you been dying to play Wii Portable, or does the Switch scratch that itch for you?
Honestly, the Switch is doing it for me right now, but I did see pictures of this online and it looked awesome. I did not know that they used a backup camera. Like some of the tech that went into making this is pretty impressive. With the custom 3D printed case, and all of that, like a custom circuit board. Like this guy really went pretty bananas on it. And so, but like I said, the Switch is doing it for me, but this is still super impressive.
Yeah, no, I think that it is super impressive, and it's a lot of fun to see some of the stills of it and think about being able to play it. Now, I don't know how this translates over to something like Twilight Sword or Twilight Princess. Princess, yeah, where you actually used the motion part of it for a pretty significant portion of it. I don't know how that works, but other than that, I think that I'm super stoked about it. I think it would be a great thing to fuck around with a little bit more. And then we're talking about a console that was, well, technically it's 2 generations away because of the Wii U was a thing.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so no, don't say that. Nintendo's going to bust in your doors. They're going to like...
Someone say they want to buy all these Wii U's that we have?
No, I was just saying they're trying to get that shit like, basically like 86, the Wii U. It never happened. Exactly. This stream is going to get kind of like just cut off the air,
Just retcon that shit, Exactly.
So I think I'd rather have like maybe a GameCube. In that size, like be able to play because I'm never like, I'm dying to play this Wii game.
Yeah, asking the right questions here.
That's Braun. That's 100%. I don't think I've ever heard anyone ever say that. Oh, dude, I'm really dying to play this Wii, but like your GameCube, that would be awesome to have in your pocket.
I actually only had a Wii because I was able to play GameCube games on it. Like that was the only purpose of my Wii, because it was compatible. You can like plug the controllers right into it. I thought that was awesome. So I still have it for that reason. But
I love my GameCube. It's set up in the living room right now. It still is to this day. We can go play it. You guys want to go play? No, I'm just
super silly. That was life. Well,
oh yeah.
And speaking of things that our life, Dragon Con Goes Virtual was this weekend, and it was really cool to see some of the virtual parades. There was a lot of cooking shows and panels. I actually knew some of the people that were doing some of the cooking shows and panels, which is really cool.
Nice.
But it was conducted over mostly live stream. It was a really, really interesting kind of way to experience Dragon Con, but definitely was a bit more disappointing than actually going there and being there. I don't really have too much of there's not much to really talk about Dragon Con because there's not really that many big announcements or anything like that with it. It's just nice to have it ongoing and doing the things that it was doing. Mm-hmm. But I just, especially the virtual parade was really great because you got to see a lot of really, really creative cosplays. And I think that Dragon Con is one of the places that really does that the best. I mean, every con has good cosplay, but Dragon Con has some really creative stuff. And it has made me definitely want to get back out there and do some more cosplay stuff and go to conventions and everything like that. But he can't until this COVID shit's over.
I'm hoping they'll let us go outside next year.
I know, right? Hopefully, let us out of our cage.
You guys think we'll be off restriction?
Maybe.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Cons and like concerts and like everything, it's gonna be freaking nuts next year. Like everybody's going to be going balls to the wall just because it's like, I've been locked inside for a year.
I know. Right. I think that it's for sure going to end up being one of those. I mean, if Dragon Con doesn't happen next year live in person, that is just a sad omen for the situation that we are in. Like, shit got real. Shit got real fucked.
No, that's if it doesn't happen
case.
next year, it's going to be pretty bad. Like, that's how you know shit's really gone awry.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're going to take a short 10-minute break. But before we do, we wanted to take a moment to say thank you, Skidburst, for the follow. And we wanted to address some feedback in chat. The Littlest Nelly says this is why focus groups are important. I think that's pertain to Pokemon Master Sex.
Yeah, Pokemon Master Sex. Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much all that we got going on there. Do you have anything that you wanted to talk about in chat, Braun?
I'm okay.
I know that you're usually the person that is the one that's pretty active in there, but it's not been too active tonight. But anyways, we want to remind y'all, if you want all the up-to-date info on all the internet news you need to know, be sure to follow us here on Twitch and be sure that notifications are on. And with that, we will kick it off to a break, and we will see you guys in 10 minutes. Throw us back in there. All right, guys, and we are back. We've been having some technical difficulties, but we do have a trailer for you guys that we're probably going to show at the end of the show. We're trying to branch out, make some more fun content for you guys to enjoy. We're moving into our deep dive. And over the past few years, the world's cancel culture have been thrown around a lot, and people have feelings about it. For the Patrick Stars of the audience, who clearly live under a rock, cancel culture is the popular practice of withdrawing support or canceling public figures after and companies after they have done something or said something considerably objective or offensive. Generally, this is discussed as being performed on social media in a form of group shaming. And as social media begins to ingrain itself even further in our culture, cancel culture has had a lot bigger impact on our lives. Some time to talk about cancel culture, why it exists, and whether or not we should cancel culture altogether. So let's get to it. First off, and I'll toss this to you first, Jake. Why does cancel culture exist?
I mean, I can't really pin down why. And I thought about it for a long time trying to figure out, for this whole discussion this week. But why it exists, I think, is because, well, one, I think we all like to simultaneously hate on shit together. And so, I think it's one of those things where, somebody's like, yo, Nickelback sucks. And then everybody's like, yo, fuck Nickelback. I hate Nickelback. Then, everybody, But then that same thing transitions to, hey, did you know so-and-so is a piece of garbage? And then everybody's like, oh, dude, that guy's a piece of shit. Let's not buy his stuff anymore, And so I think it exists because we all kind of it's an empathetic thing to kind of want to cancel things together. We, it's group thought, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it exists. Right. And so that's pretty much what I came to my philosophical conclusion was that, we just like to do shit together as a squad. Humans, we're social creatures.
Exactly. What do you think, Braun? Why do you think cancel culture exists?
I think that, I agree. And that there's power in that mass group movement. And you can see that you can affect so much change by all doing this together, sort of. So you have power. And I think that it comes into play. It's been coming into play throughout society. It's not a new concept. You can look back and see people boycotting things throughout history. So I think that's part of cancel culture, that we're not going to support you, and that's going to cut off your means of having of doing X, so that we're not supporting it. Now that there's internet, you can do that on a whole different scale, and you can do that in a way that maybe that's smearing someone's name or going far in that way. There's just unlimited possibilities of canceling people. It spreads like wildfire too.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I think that social media has been a big catalyst for it because, I think beforehand, cancel culture was just boycotting. Technically, the Montgomery bus company was one of the first people to be a part of cancel culture, in essence, and that was good. There was a good reason for that, and that leads me to my next thing: is cancel culture a good thing or a bad thing? Bronwyn, let's toss it to you first.
So I think it's a good thing in the sense that you should be holding people or corporations accountable. But I think that it can be a bad thing if things aren't grounded in facts and in research. If you just are going to listen to anything without like thinking for yourself, I think that's really important. So it falls on either scale, but I think that we should have a voice and be able to use that voice, especially when things are not so great. Like when people are doing things that are really fucked up, cancel them. Fucking cancel them.
I agree 100%. I mean,
I agree too.
Yeah. And go ahead, Jake.
No, I was just going to say I agree. And I think that it's like with most things, it's moderation, right? Mm-hmm. Like if everything gets canceled, it's like, it's the classic, like, oh, look, like, you know, conservatives will say, like, look at liberals, they'll just cancel everything, you know, like so-and-so said something I don't like, you know? And so, but, you know, so if we do, like, just, if it's atrocious acts, yes, right? If it's just like, I don't like how they use that green or something, you know, like it's like we have to like there has to be a scale of like kind of like, you know, and that's hard because we all kind of individually have our own ethics and morals, you know what I mean? And so I think that's why the whole like group plays an aspect into it. But yeah, I think it's moderation, man. You know, like you gotta allow some people some stuff, right? But then other people like hardcore got to draw hard lines, you know?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the people, especially the people we have pictured in our image below, are perfect examples of that. Like, I'm not fucking with Roseanne Barr anymore. I'm certainly not fucking with Kevin Spacey, and not even. I don't even feel good saying good things about Bill Cosby when he did do good things because of the shit that he did afterwards.
Dude, I was a Louis fan.
Yeah, and you were a Louis fan. You were a big Louis fan.
Oh my god,
huge Louis fan.
How did you take that?
I went and saw Louis for my like 22nd birthday. That was like my gift that my girlfriend got me. We went and got tickets. Went to Athens and saw Louis. Loved his show. Loved his stand up. You know, he was always one of my favorite stand up comedians, and so it was one of those where like it was so funny, bro. Because when we went and saw him in Athens, one of Jessica's or my girlfriend's like her sister's friends was like, what if he's a piece of shit? And I was like, what do you mean? And I remember being like kind of defensive because, you know, I liked Louis a lot. We were going to go see his set that night. And I was like, what do you mean? He's a good person. He literally just like refunded all these people because they were affected by a hurricane and couldn't come see his show. He literally sold all of his tickets direct to fans. He never went through any type of ticketing service. So you would buy Louis tickets for like $20 a ticket, no matter where Louis was playing. Right. And so I was always like, he's a man of the people. Like, what are you talking about? He's a great guy. And then like literally like a year or two later, it's like Louis C.K. jerks off in front of women. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. You know, I was like, oh my God, dude, Louis, no. And like, I know that guy doesn't remember that comment, but if he did, he was just sitting at home going, fucking called it. You know, like he was just sitting there like, called it, bro. Called it.
I know, right? Hands on. I feel like the Louis one was one of the big ones because that was one that when the allegation first came out, it really did sound like a bad Louis C.K. joke.
It did, yeah.
So that was one thing. And then, which in hindsight makes a lot of those Louis C.K. jokes that if you go back and listen to them now, much more distasteful and much more piece of shit-esque. And, you know, he was in the middle of filming, like, you know, shows about being a father and, like, you know, all this wholesome content. You know, I mean, his show Louis itself had a lot of wholesome content throughout it. It
was a good show.
It was really a good show, but it definitely deserves to be canceled after hearing about the information that came out about it. I think hands down that's by far one of the perfect examples of those that needs to be that deserves the cancellation.
And people ask, you know, because then the Aziz thing happened, right? Yeah. Where like the story of Aziz came out and like, you know, it really seemed like from reading and everything that Aziz just pretty much was a shitty date. He was a really bad date. And so, but then, you know, his career just kind of like kept going. And so it's interesting. I think that's, which is, you know, I think we may get to it later, but it's just one of those things where like, I'm like baffled by cancel culture and the fact that like some people don't allow you to culture them or to cancel them. Like Chris Brown.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, fuck Chris Brown. Like we're canceling Chris Brown. But then like Chris Brown's still like doing numbers and getting booked for shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like,
Well, you hit on this a little bit earlier, but I wanted to talk about this. Is this just a liberal trope? Is it this just liberals getting mad at things that they find offensive? Conservative nerds don't have this problem, right?
I mean, I feel like some conservatives have definitely canceled people. They canceled John McCain. They canceled.
Highly sarcastic answer of my
they cancel the liberals.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then they've canceled Nike, Gillette. They've canceled Keurigs at one point. Do you remember that time when they were fucking throwing their Keurigs out?
Throwing their Keurigs out. Yeah, Colin Kaepernick got canceled pretty hard.
Yeah, that's definitely, it was on the conservative side. So this is not. So my point of the facetious question is that this is clearly something that goes on both sides, right?
I think it's anybody who has a defensible kind of like, or well, what they would I don't want to say it's defensible, but what they would consider to be a defensible kind of like stance on something, right? And so like, and you're going to get those on any side, does not matter, right? Like either side's canceling somebody. It doesn't have a political spectrum on cancel culture. Like conservatives will definitely like say things like, and that's also like the whole snowflake trope, right? Like where they're like, liberals are snowflakes getting upset about everything. And it's like, you're literally being a snowflake about snowflakes.
Yeah.
You know, like
for real. And I mean, like you're also, you know, trying to throw Gillette razors down the toilet. Yeah. So because they said, you know, be a better man. And like to me, I mean, the Gillette commercial is a great example of that, because if any guy looks at that and gets like, oh, this is offensive, they're telling me I have to be better. Yeah, they fucking should. You should be told to do better all the fucking time. Unless you think you're fucking perfect, then you don't deserve a shot to be told that you're doing better. And if that shit like that offends you, it's because you have a weak fucking ego, and not because, you know, Gillette said anything that's legitimately offensive.
Exactly. Nah, most of it comes from just having weak egos.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, with that said, is cancel culture always right? Is there anyone that you think of that has been unfairly canceled? Brom, we'll start with you.
So I think that the word cancel in itself, it just kind of makes you think it's done, it's completely over. And so that I feel like, in a sense, just is disappointing on a societal level, thinking that people can't like revive. I mean, there's some things that, I mean, some of these people, they're inexcusable, but I think that there should be some sort of a chance for redemption. Yeah. Or maybe not, maybe a cancel is just the wrong word. Just, you know. Yeah.
Maybe you should try a different career path or something.
Yeah.
Or people maybe making up for it in a certain way. Like maybe they should still be canceled in the sense of like taken out of the limelight or not idolized or glorified to an extent, but instead of punishing people, maybe give people a chance to be better towards society and to build a better world. I think you don't do that by just turning your backs on people.
No, that's like, I have a lot of controversial ones. I have a lot of highly controversial ones. Like one that I think a lot of people don't expect from me, especially as like a dog owner and someone who loves animals. Mike Vick, bro.
Mike Vick, you feel he was unfairly canceled?
No, not unfairly canceled, but I feel like the fact that we still, like, after he did like 2 years in prison, basically was able to restart his career, paid back all of his debt, and has opened up more like humane societies than like almost any other like single person in the U.S. apparently. Like, there's a lot of like great things he's done for animals like since the whole dogfighting ring. And so that shit was terrible, right?
Right.
But then the dude went to prison. What's prison for? You know, like
rehabilitation.
Yeah, exactly. And so you go and you get rehabilitated. Like, and so like, I think if people go to prison, get out of prison, and then they can never just go back to their lives, like, yeah, like we should definitely hold it against them. And you can hate them for it all day long. But like at the end of the day, like I kind of like, I still like, I'm not mad at Mike Vick anymore. And people hate that. And when I tell people that, they get mad. And I'm like, dude, like I love dogs too, but like, you know, the guy's done a lot of great things for the community now. Like he loves dogs apparently, and has done a lot of awesome shit for animals. And so like that's my controversial one. It's probably my most controversial one. Because like every time I tell people I don't still hate Mike Vick, they're just like, oh my God, you should hate Mike Vick. And I'm like, dude, he went to prison.
I feel like I'm close to that too, but you do make a good point. I mean, it's solid. He has been rehabilitated. I don't know if I'd ever trust him again, and I certainly don't think that someone like that should
I don't think he
still
should
be able to come
like,
back to a career. But
no, but he did, and he paid off all of his debt, which is something that a lot of people don't do. Like, you know, he was able to pay off all that stuff. And then, like I said, he's done a lot of great work, you know, for the animals. And like, there's a whole list. Like, I sound like, because he doesn't even really have a PR team, but he still does stuff every now and then. And he talks about like, he does a lot of like, you know, speaking things and gives a lot of money to different communities to build like humane societies and everything. And so he does more for animals than most of the people who are telling you to hate Mike Vick.
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
And so but it is my most controversial. And then Kanye. You know, I'm a Kanye fan. Kanye gets canceled every like 6 months. Like,
yeah. Well,
and so he won't be canceled.
We talked about this a little bit before, I think, when we did it, and I could kind of see your point there, because I think I know the track that you're going to go down. He's been having a lot of mental health issues ever since his mother died, and he's been reaching out to the public, and there is a sense of when it comes to Kanye, like it's kind of like we're watching somebody go through a mental health issue, and we're just sitting there watching it and not doing anything about it, and honestly fanning the flames a lot of times. I mean, you had more to say on it, but I didn't mean to jump the gun.
I mean, that's kind of like, that is my big thing with Kanye, is that like he's been pretty open about his mental health issues, and so like, but that. Also, it's another thing too. Like, I understand whenever people are like, "No, what he said's inexcusable." It's the same thing that I feel with Mike Vick. Is like, if you hate him and you still want to and think like what he did was inexcusable, that's your opinion also, right? And so, like, it's like, you know, like I totally understand whenever people are like, "No, Kanye has went way overboard. You know, I can never listen to his music. I can never support him again." I'm like, that's cool. You know, like go like that's fine. That's your opinion. Mine is that like, you know, I'm a fan. The dude's been through a lot of shit. We all go through it. He just happens to go through it on a scale where millions of people have like access to who he is, what he says, and care about his tweets. You know, like if people were monitoring my tweets from like 2010 when I was going through like some mental breakdown shit, you know, like I mean, it said some crazy shit too. And so
I mean, I've had some posts that have come up on my Facebook from stuff, and I'm like, well, I am glad I grew from that perspective.
Dude, memories, because we grew up on the internet, you know what I mean? Like sometimes like I'll get a Facebook, you know, thing from whenever I was in high school, and I go, dude, I fucking hate that guy. Yeah. Whoever, you know, like high school Jake was a piece of shit. He needs to be canceled. And so I cancel him all the time by deleting those posts.
Yeah. I get you. Well, I think that's a great. I mean, first off, I think there's some people that one of the biggest examples of someone I think that was unfairly canceled. And he
that was the
survived.
question.
He survived the questioning, right? The canceling was Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa got in big trouble. I don't know if you guys remember this. He got in big trouble from a Comic-Con panel where he said that, you know, he gets to play Khal Drogo, or you get to do all these things, and you get to go out and murder people and rape beautiful women and all this stuff, and it's great. And he was just kind of going off the cuff, right? And he was talking about being a savage and all that kind of thing. But the comment, obviously, the way he phrased it, drew immediate backlash. Yeah. And he walked it back 1,000 times. Like, I would never encourage that kind of thing. I was talking about Khal Drogo, the character. That is not something that I'm for. And we've seen how, Jason Momoa's career has gone since. He definitely survived the canceling. But that was one of the times where I was sitting there thinking, yes, he needs to be more careful with his phrasing, but people were talking about boycotting Aquaman and doing all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this kind of severity should be reserved for situations that are much more volatile, when are much more important. You know, when you have people that are going out there harassing other people, for no good reason at all, those are the people that shouldn't have their careers because of it. And the people that are using their careers as a platform, like Louis C.K. was, in order to advance their own sexual desires, that should be canceled. Yeah. But someone making a bad comment, I think that does go down the route that you were talking with, Bronwyn, where there needs to kind of be a path to redemption.
And it's like, it's crazy to think that that somebody who either like I said, a Chris Brown, that like was actually like a physical abuser, or somebody like Louis C.K. who is like a manipulator, and had all this other stuff going on, can be put on the same level as somebody like Anthony Jeselnik, who made a joke about like the Boston bombing, and then had like his whole career kind of like put on pause for a little bit. And it was just because like, dude, I kind of get it, like in a way, but then in other ways I didn't. You know, like that was another one that the guy got. I don't think he was wrongfully canceled, but I do kind of teeter on it a bit because like he made a joke on the day of the Boston bombing, which I understand. It's what is it? A tragedy plus time equals comedy, right? It's not just tragedy comedy. Like that's not. It does not work that way. There's an important reason like. He missed the pivotal, like, there's a formula, right? It's tragedy, time, comedy. That's how you get it, right? And so, like, he made a joke on the day of. And so, but I remember actually enjoying the Jeselnik Offensive was his show on Comedy Central. I remember enjoying it. And I remember he got canceled within 24 hours. Another one, Gilbert Gottfried. A lot of people don't realize this. Gilbert Gottfried was the Aflac duck, right? Aflac, everything,
and he's
right?
also the parrot from Aladdin.
Yes, exactly. He got canceled for making a joke about the Japan tsunami, and fairly recent after it happened. Yeah, and that's Affleck dropped him, everything like that. And so I don't know, man. Like it's kind of like it's one of those where like I definitely see why some men are canceled or some people are canceled in general, right? Mm-hmm. But then other people, it's kind of like, dude, educate them. They made a bad joke, educate them. Like, get them kind of like, and give them the chance to kind of come out and be like, yo, that was a bad joke. I've now learned from it. Here's why it's a bad joke. Tell people, use their platform to like tell people why that was a bad joke. Right. Don't just cancel them,
I think I have to agree with you for the most part there. But I think
some things are completely distasteful, I guess. Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like
like there's a level of acceptance there. I get you.
But there's levels of this shit.
Yeah, there's definitely levels. Well, with that said, should cancel culture be encouraged or discouraged? We'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think it should just exist. I think if it's encouraged, then problems like the Jason Momoa stuff happens, where it's like you're trying to pinpoint like any little thing. I don't think it should be encouraged because that's just silencing people and not bringing things to surface. I was actually involved in someone getting canceled or like connected to that. When I was younger, I dated this musician and he was a lot older than me. I was of legal age and our relationship kind of like simmered out. But this past year, it came to light that he was basically manipulating and sleeping with underage women. So people even younger than me. And that, I'm like, yes, he should be canceled because he's using his position of power to like lure in his fans who are 17 and to sleep with them, and not just sleep with them, but form these really complex, really controlling relationships where he's like grooming them into the women that he thinks they should be. And these were all things that I witnessed. I know how he was treating me, but I was 21. Yeah. So I wouldn't really listen to a lot of it. I pushed back. If I was in that same situation when I was a lot younger, then I might have been more susceptible to it. Yeah. So I think in situations like that, it's good that he has like stepped down from his career. He'll no longer be releasing music. He's no longer going to be performing. And in that situation, I do think that it's a place in which cancel culture existing is a great thing. Yeah.
I do lean actually more on the side of cancel culture. And I know that seems a bit odd because of especially how we phrase the entire top 10, but I'm actually I'm for it for the most part. In a lot of circumstances, I think cancel culture has taken out the right people. The three people we have on the screen right there definitely deserve to be canceled. And there's not really much debate on whether or not, and for those that are listening to us, that's Roseanne Barr and Kevin Spacey and what's his name now? Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby. Yeah. See, that's what happens with cancel culture. You get
who are they?
Who are
you get erased?
Roseanne Barr has always been a conservative mouthpiece, and she finally let that out with her famous tweet about Michelle Obama. And honestly, yeah, fuck her racist ass. She shouldn't have a career.
And then blamed it on Ambien, of all things.
Blamed it on Ambien.
I've taken Ambien. It's not that bad. It doesn't make you racist.
Yeah, it doesn't make you a midnight racist. That's Ambien. I can certify that Ambien does not make you a midnight racist.
Yeah, I can confirm.
Yeah.
It'll make you see some trippy shit, but it doesn't make you a racist.
Yeah, exactly. I think that those are great examples of things. I do think there's some that go too far, but I think the ones that go too far are usually kind of easy to see. And the ones that haven't gone far enough aren't. Like, I fucking forgot about Chris Brown, and I forgot the fact that he's still out there making shows right now, and he should not be. I mean, with the shit that he did to Rihanna alone, he should be out of the industry completely. And we know that that Rihanna wasn't even the first one that he did it to. So like, if that's the case, if we're in a situation where situations like Jason Momoa are usually seen pretty frequently, I mean, even the Aziz Ansari, that was a situation where some women were like, hey, no, this is really creepy what he's been doing. And yes, he was persistent, but I knew guys in college that did the exact same thing. It just like they were the people that text first, and they always text, and they would text. That kind of stuff, if you're not doing like actual harassing, sending them pictures or making threats or anything like that, you're just being, kind of oblivious to what women are how women are feeling towards you. That could be something that offers a path to redemption. I actually watched his first stand-up special after that, and he addresses it immediately, right on the first part of the show.
He started it with it, which I think he knew he had to.
I think that he had to as well. And to be honest, seeing that he had a new special on there was the reason I looked at it. After everything, I wanted to see what his first response was afterwards. And so I think there are people that can handle cancel culture correctly, and I think that there's people that don't, and those people typically deserve to be canceled, in my personal opinion.
Like, there's a reason they can't handle it, and there's a reason why the person who's handling with grace are actually like empathetic and able to feel that sense of remorse and grow and learn from it. That's the difference.
Exactly.
100%. And
now,
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning. I'm with you, like on the whole. Like, I don't know about encouraged or discouraged. I kind of like what Bronwyn said. I kind of love what you said about just kind of letting it exist. You know what I mean? Because I do like I like that it's here. Like, because there's all kinds of people that are always like cancel culture shouldn't exist, or like and act like it's modern. But kind of like we brought up even earlier, it's not a new thing. The internet's just helped kind of like elevate it, right? And so like I'm glad it's like here. But then, there's a lot of like, we should go back in time and cancel people. I know in chat, like someone said David Bowie, the whole world needs to cancel David Bowie. And that's an interesting one too, because like I have this conversation with Jessica, my friend or my girlfriend all the time about how like Elvis Presley, like there's tons of people who like, if there was a time machine and somebody was just going around going, you're canceled. Like, dude, I don't think we would have any musicians left. Like there wouldn't be many. And so,
I mean, I think I don't know about that. I think that we have enough good musicians out there.
There are some, but you got to think about their time period.
Shitholes.
From the 50s and 60s, dude, a lot of them were growing up in a weird time, man, where like they could do some weird shit.
Yeah, that's true.
They could publicly get away with like harassing women, dating like 14-year-olds, like like Elvis Presley had like women, like young women, like I'm pretty sure he married like his cousin that was like underage or some crazy shit.
Yeah. Ugh. Well,
so did Bob Weir, Grateful
and that's the
Dead.
king of rock and roll.
Yeah. Well, to help kind of transition into our next topic, what is the difference between cancel culture and corporate executives canceling shows due to ratings or finance? Like, we know there's a difference, obviously, but what is the, in essence, difference? Jake, we'll start with you.
Well, to me, corporate executives canceling a show is a little bit more concrete than the internet canceling a person.
That's true.
Usually when a show gets canceled, we don't see it come back. There's not many Family Guys. There's not many Futuramas. There's not many shows that actually get to go get a second wind. Like look at Firefly. How long have we been trying to get Firefly back?
Right.
But
I know,
then
right?
Chris Brown, we can't keep his piece of garbage ass out, out of the media.
Exactly.
And so it's one of those where I think like when a corporate executive cancels you, like if the record executives had finally decided that Chris Brown wasn't selling records, Chris Brown would finally get canceled. Like I think one of the biggest reasons R. Kelly has been so hard to cancel throughout the years is because the dude still sells records too. It's like, money talks. And so like that's the thing. When executives cancel you, you're actually canceled. I think they actually have a better ban hammer than the internet does.
Yeah. Exactly. Brahman, what do you think? What is the main difference between corporate executives canceling a show or a TV show and cancel culture?
Well, I think that one is just based on data, like something like a show is just based on data, like how much money it's making for the most part. But in the other essence, it's based on morality and ethics. And that is where I feel like there's more of a gray area, or like the line can get blurred. Like it can either go really extreme in one way or really extreme in the other. But if you're just looking at numbers, if you're saying this is making X amount, you're not making an emotional decision. You're just like making a business decision.
Yeah, I get that. I think the biggest difference is the balance of power. Obviously, when you're the cancel culture, when you're talking about corporate execs canceling something, they could be canceling it for a variety of reasons, mostly financial, but it's all those people at the very, very top. Again, as Jake said, we haven't been able to bring back Firefly despite all the cries that we want for it to come back. But when it's cancel culture, one of the things that I do really like about cancel culture is it brings a lot of that power back to the people. It brings it back into social media. It brings it so that we can make collective stances against people and say, hey, we don't want to idolize people like Roseanne Barr. We don't want to idolize people like Bill Cosby. We don't want to idolize people like Kevin Spacey. And we don't and having them in their position that they are in naturally does that. So they need to be removed from that position. And I think that to me is the most powerful aspect of it, is the fact that the power is with the people, Yeah.
With the people.
With the people. Now, with that said, it's a great transition into our top Zen, which is the best canceled shows of 2020. Now, we're not talking about cancel culture here, guys. They're not talking about shows. Well, some of them actually do have a little bit to do with that. But we were talking about shows that got the axe from up top. They're not coming back, or at least for the foreseeable. And let's just get right into it, because there's tons of shows on here to talk about. Number 10 on our countdown is going to be the legendary Tosh.0. Tosh.0 was a staple when I was in high school. But like much of Daniel Tosh's fan base, the fan base outgrew Daniel Tosh's humor. Tosh.0 ran for 12 seasons as one of the most successful internet super rip-offs of all time. And Comedy Central has made the decision weeks ago, shortly after they renewed this, for 4 more seasons. Jake, do you think that Comedy Central did Tosh dirty here, or was it about time?
I think we talked about it a little bit. It was either last week or the week before, whenever we were talking about how Tosh.0 was getting the axe. But I think it's almost ran its course. It's one of those where do we really need another kind of it's ridiculousness, Tosh.0, all these come on, dude, I have the internet on my phone. I don't need I don't need it on the TV. And so I do think that Tosh.0 is it's time for Comedy Central to kind of send it on down the dirt, the dusty road, or whatever the fuck they want to say. But then I think it may find its home somewhere else. I think one streaming service, maybe YouTube, Red or one of those guys may pick it up. Who knows?
There you go. You never know. And it is being shopped around right now, so it could come back. But we will see. Number 9 on the countdown, though, is something that I've said in the past that I was actually okay with being canceled, which is I'm not okay with this. Brahman, tell us a little bit about I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, so I'm not okay with this is a coming-of-age drama based on the comic book by Charles Forsman about a telekinetic teenage girl. And this is being canceled right after its very first season, so it won't be renewed for a second season. And this is one of the first shows in the batch where Netflix is citing it as a COVID-related cancellation. So not specifically to do with ratings. I mean, that's a part of it going into it, but this is one of those shows that like we thought we could do this, but because of the current circumstances, we're not going to. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to see it. I know you have, Dodson. You said you're not too disappointed in it being canceled. Why is that?
I know that they came out with a season 2, but I remember watching that first season and be like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. But it's very much like that kind of show to me is going to be second place to any other show that is that I want to watch. You know, like if there's anything else out there that's available, I'm probably going to watch that first. I'm not okay with this as one of those things that you kind of come back to after a while. But it just never really hooked into it. It had that good indie movie feel. Do what?
Not bingeable.
Not bingeable, in my opinion. Not really a good binge, at least, you know. But I know that there were plenty of people that did like it. I know there was plenty of people that kind of liked the indie movie vibe that they were going with. And so, yeah, you know, it's definitely bad to see it go, but I'm not okay with this being canceled.
It was like, what's the movie I'm looking for? It was like Juno meets, I don't know, some kind of superhero thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like maybe Juno meets Stranger Things in a way, you know, because like the girl kind of reminded me of 11 a bit. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know there was a second season. I'm gonna have to go check it out because you're right though. It wasn't bingeable. It was one of those. I like how you're kind of describing it. I wish I could come up with a set name for it, because it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to watch every episode of it, but you'll watch like maybe one or two, and then like if you're bored and you've already watched your other shit, you'll be like, oh yeah, I guess I can finish watching this.
Yeah,
you know, like it was one of those.
It's a permanent second choice.
Yes, exactly. And so it's all right that it's kind of gone.
Yep, I definitely agree with that. But number 8 in our countdown is one that plenty of people are not okay with being canceled.
No.
And that is Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from Netflix, which got rave reviews. Tell us a little bit about this, Jake.
Yeah, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is getting the axe after season 4 at Netflix. The show was renewed in late 2018 for parts 3 and 4, aka seasons 3 and 4, as part of a 16-episode order. While Netflix, like other streamers, does not release viewership information, Sabrina's first part had a favorable 80% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 90% among critics. After its first 3 parts, it now has an 84% rating among critics and a 69% with viewers. So it's still right there around that 70% mark, though, which usually says that something's pretty good. Sabrina is the latest of Netflix's series to come to an end. The streamer also announced the final seasons of its hits, The Ozark, The Kromsky Method, Dead to Me, which are all produced by the same studio that Sabrina is, Warner Brothers TV. And so this was kind of big news, and I think everybody was kind of like, "What the hell?"
I feel like Dead to
Sabrina?
Me surviving and The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina getting the axe is just a terrible, terrible content decision.
Oh yeah, no, but those are all coming to their finals as well. Those are just some other Netflix ones, and so like Dead to Me, and then Ozark, which I think kind of blew up over COVID. I heard a lot of people start talking about it, but. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is one that I'm going to definitely be sad to see go. You know, we watched all 4 parts of it. You don't get enough satanic stuff on TV anymore. You know what I mean? Like you can't just. Yeah. I'm really like, you know, like honestly, people think I'm joking, but like at the end of the day, like it kind of got like interesting to see, like, you know, people just be like, "Hell, Satan," you know, like kind of on TV. I mean, I'm not a big Satanist or anything, but it's just like,
Austin. Come to Austin, okay? Yeah. I'll take you to the Satanic Temple of Austin. We'll have a good time. Satanists get a bad rep, man. They do. They're always super chill people, and in the Chilling, the Adventures of Sabrina here, like it was so forward. You know what I mean? And like it was very women empowering. You know, witches, covens. You know, coven after they kind of like overthrew the main dude. They started talking about, you know what? Fuck Satan. We're going with Lilith. You know what I mean? Like, so then, you know, like, so this last season was actually pretty interesting. And, you know, Sabrina really kind of like hit her stride. So it's really sad to kind of like see it end whenever like she's really her most powerful right now in the series is kind of like history. And so, but yeah, no, like it's a very empowering show. So I'm going to be sad to see it go. Yeah. And my partner is always been big into witch stuff and witchcraft and
witchy woman.
Got me a witchy woman, a witchy non-binary. But regardless, Sabrina, and as Lilith Nelly says in the chat here, it was really good about talking about bodily autonomy, and
Yes. Yeah.
the harm of any religious organization that can happen when you turn it into a cult. I'm literally reading directly from her comment here, and. They had a trans actor playing a non-binary character, which was another something we talked about with Star Trek that we highly encourage, and we want to see more of that representation out there. So you had great representation. You had comments about religious organizations and how they can harm people by turning into a cult. You've had messages on bodily autonomy. I think it was a really, really good show and just really resonated with its audience. And it getting the axe is definitely disappointing to see.
No, it is. I think it had a great run though. The 4 seasons of Sabrina that are on Netflix, they're definitely they have a lot of teachable moments, like you were just kind of going over. And so I definitely, if you haven't seen them, I highly suggest going back and watching them, especially considering that we're starting to get into Spooktober. It's coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Moving right along on our countdown, number 6 in there is actually another powerhouse show that I think it just ran its course, if I'm not correct, which is Vikings. And Bronwyn, you have a little bit more information on Vikings for us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Vikings and why it deserves that number 7 slot on our countdown? Or number 6? Number 6, yeah. Number 6.
Number 6, so fitting because it ran for 6 seasons.
Yeah.
And this is another Netflix show. So luckily their cancellation came in enough time for the writers to wrap things up in their final 20 episode season. So the show did come to a more organic end. And this is not the Vikings' final raid, however. A spin-off series called Vikings Valhalla is set to premiere next year. Taking place 100 years after the Vikings finale, this show will include many historical figures who may even be embodied by some of the familiar cast members for the original show. So taking the same actors and having them play different roles, sort of like an American Horror Story type thing, but within the same universe, which I think would be really cool. They're also saying they're going to be keeping a lot of the same crew members, so they're really taking care of their Vikings family in this. Even though they're canceled, they have this spin-off series and they want to keep as many people that were involved in the original show to go towards this show. So I think that's really cool.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Silver lining in this canceling.
Exactly.
Right. This is one of those canceled that didn't really get canceled. But I know that at least my dad and my brother were just absolute fanatics of this show.
I watched a little bit of it. I watched the first season. I enjoyed it.
I was going to say, I know a lot of people who watch Vikings and were really, really kind of bummed out to hear about its cancellation. But like you said, it was one of those where it's definitely had a 6 seasons. What's the classic thing from Community? 6 seasons in a movie, baby.
Yeah. I bet it's 5 seasons in a movie. Oh,
man, maybe. I think it's 6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah.
Let's look this up.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be one that a lot of people are going to be sad to see go. But for me, certainly not as sad as number 6 on the countdown. We got to pour one out for the homies because Drunk History got canceled this year too.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Drunk History, for those of you who didn't know, it was a show where basically they would go through and recant famous stories of historical figures while getting shit-faced drunk. And it was one of the funniest shows that I'd seen on Comedy Central in a long time. They had an all-star cast. They brought in all different kinds of people. 1, they had different people telling stories. 2, they had different people reenacting those stories as well. And that was where the kind of the real fun of the show came in, when they were reenacting those stories and they were like reciting the same lines that they had but while drunk. And as soon as I stopped feeling queasy, I think that this is definitely one that I'm going to go binge and go check out again. I feel like Jake, you were a big Drunk History buff, if I'm not correct. How are you feeling about Drunk History getting the axe?
Yeah, no, this one's super. It bums me out, man. Drunk History was always one of the funnest ways to learn unique history facts, and I know they're not out of them. So hopefully it gets picked up by somebody. Hopefully this is another one of those that Comedy Central dumps and someone picks it up. Maybe Or maybe they just create their own YouTube channel or do something like that, right? Like, because the crew who did Drunk History, I believe it even started as a YouTube thing. And so
Yeah, I think so.
It's one of those where like maybe they'll just go back to doing that, which I think will be fine, because like they have a great group of comedians that they get to come on there, every so often and tell really awesome history facts, and they get shithoused while doing it, and it causes for some really funny clips. Like you said, watching like a sober person try to act out the clips of somebody who's like just super hammered is always just hilarious. And so really gonna miss this one. It taught me a lot of interesting things.
Yeah, I actually learned a lot from Drunk History. I learned actual stories that happened, and it's a great way when you catch people, when you can bring history at a medium where people are going to be entertained by it and they're going to watch it, then you get that effect. Like you actually do teach people some history. And I think that's great. I mean, it went for 6 seasons, so it's not like it was a flop by any means of the word. But this has been a part of their rebranding strategy. They axed, I think at a similar time, they axed Tosh.0, because they're trying to rebrand more towards adult animation, and some of their daily staples, which I don't understand how Drunk History didn't fall into that category, or Tosh.0 wouldn't fall into that category. But they're basically just saying we're doing Daily Show and animated shorts now.
I know Comedy Central's making some interesting decisions here lately. It's going to be interesting to see what's kind of like next for Comedy Central.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we've got 2 of their shows on this countdown.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because they've been seeing some of the success from some of the adult animation from Netflix per se, including the next one on our list, which comes in at number 5 for getting the axe as well. But this one also I think was something that it just kind of ran its course, right? That's BoJack Horseman, right?
Kinda ran its course.
Ran its course.
Netflix, the Netflix animated series BoJack Horseman has finally come to an end after its 6 seasons. But creator Ralph Bob Waxberg confirmed that the show could have continued for a couple of more years before wrapping things up, but that the streaming service decided that it was time to end. So the creator didn't come out and actually like say, hey, we're good here. Because, the reason why like some other shows didn't make this list, kind of like The Good Place, which was another great show that we saw wrap this year. But the creator chose to wrap it this year. It wasn't anything that got canceled, right?
Right.
With BoJack, Netflix came to the creator and said, hey, you need to wrap it up. And so while we did actually get a completed BoJack Horseman, apparently it could have went on for a couple of more seasons. And I think it would have been interesting to see what the creators and could have done with BoJack in that amount of time, and could he have actually become redeemable? Because a lot of people believe that the way the series ended, BoJack didn't end on a redeemable note. It's one of those things where I think a lot of people still consider BoJack to be canceled within BoJack, which is now canceled. So anyway.
I remember you being a big BoJack fan in college, and
loved it, man.
I remember that I watched even some of the episodes from some of these previous seasons, and that's one I want to go back to and really get a good look at, because I do think that there were some really, really cool moments in that last one, especially that funeral episode. Like, that was deep.
Yeah.
A lot of the episodes too. This is one of I think the name on this list that hurts me the most, because I'm a huge BoJack fan, and there's so much they can do, and they probably were planning on doing within this universe. And I think it's so fitting now with our previous discussion, because BoJack was canceled within BoJack. Yeah. And now, so like as you touched on earlier, this one hits me deep.
Yeah. We all got pretty connected to the characters, and so it's definitely like I think it's sad to see him go, but it's really an interesting one to have been brought up on our cancel culture episode, just because of like the story of BoJack in general.
He really fits all those boxes.
I'll miss all those animal puns. Like I want to see. I
think the biggest thing that I'm gonna miss is Princess Caroline.
Maybe she'll have her own spin-off show.
Yeah, dude. Jessica, my girlfriend, has a poster of Princess Caroline that just says "Get shit done." And it's like, dude, that's your mantra right there. Look at Princess Caroline and just think like, get shit done, because that's what she does, man.
That was one that does really resonate with that get shit done kind of attitude. But one thing that doesn't resonate with the get shit done kind of attitude was the lingering program that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that comes in at number 4 at our countdown. Bronwyn, you got a little bit more to say about this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. news. Tell us about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, so this cancellation is a long time coming. After season 5, the writers thought that they were done for, and then ABC decided to renew it for another season. Then another season. But in the long run, it eventually came to an end. 7 seasons strong and is not too shabby, and the fact that it was able to endure another 2 seasons despite the poor ratings hopefully gave the creators time to end it how they wanted to. But yeah, this show's just been surviving despite very, very poor reactions. Yeah. I didn't catch any of the show though, so are you guys sad at all?
I've watched a little bit of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things about it is that seasons 1 and 2 were absolute bangers. Like, I think season 1 was great. Season 2 was even better because it tied into Captain America and like an actual story that was going on in the Marvel universe. And it was like, oh, this is so cool. Now we can have events that happen in the Marvel universe, and then we can get a show where we can follow how those issues are progressing on a daily basis. This is absolutely awesome. And I think they even continue doing that with, like the Infinity War and all the things that happened with that, the big Thanos snap. Like, things in the Marvel universe changed forever because of that, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had to be affected by it. But it definitely, of all the superhero shows that were out there, I mean, it was competing with Arrow and Flash and a lot of the CW-verse shows. And they were just building a much better universe, a much more engaged universe, ones that people wanted to be involved with. And the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started to feel kind of like the end credit scenes at a Marvel movie more than an actual TV show, in my opinion.
No, 100%. And it was, like you said, it was competing with so much. I believe at one time we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Gotham, and like these are all on different channels, right? Like, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Gotham, the Arrow, Flash. I believe, we were starting to get like people talking about like Supergirl. There was like Legends of Tomorrow. Like, oh my God, dude. Like, it was during the time this show came out, during like peak superhero shows. And I cannot believe it lasted 7 seasons. Because like you said, seasons 1 and 2, I watched season 1, not bad. Started to watch season 2, was like, all right, this is pretty good. Yeah. Season 3, not good at all. Completely quit watching it. And then I heard it was garbage. And then it's so funny to hear that it actually lasted like 4 seasons after when I quit watching it.
It definitely seemed like it was limping away after season 3. And, as Bronwyn, I mean, you're saying that the writers thought they were done after season 5. I don't know how they thought they did good after season 3, but that's just me. I don't know how they were proud of that job. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is good quality content. I'm shitting on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. writers. I'm sure they did a really great job.
They tried very hard.
They tried very hard. We just fell off the bandwagon, especially with all the other content that was being asked to be
too much. And we didn't even mention the Netflix ones too, because there was still Daredevil going. Like there's Netflix was dipping its toes into the superhero shows too, and so it was just like, I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just kind of like flew under some folks' radars, but then also the show shot itself as well.
Yeah, it did. But speaking of a show that did not shoot itself, and honestly, the show that probably gave it definitely was the show that kind of elbowed its way into creating superhero shows as a mainstream series, which is Arrow. And Arrow is on this list. Arrow went on for 8 seasons, so it was going on for one more season longer than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and launched the Arrowverse, launched the CW, cinema, or the CW televised connected universe. And it was a huge staple. I watched Arrow all the way to the end, even though it had definitely gone downhill after season 3. Season 3 was hot garbage. With Ra's al Ghul.
It got bad.
And then season 4, they casted a really great Damien Dark, but the writing went downhill. And so you had a really cool villain, really shitty writing. Season 5, really cool villain, really good writing. It's not season 5. Season 5 was Damien Dark. Season 6 is when they get to, I believe, Prometheus. That storyline was actually really good. But then after that, just kept on going downhill and downhill and downhill. And
Yeah.
eventually, Stephen Amell, after the season 7 finale, announced that he was going to be leaving Arrow. And if you have your main star leaving the show, it's like, okay, so how do we close this up? How do we wrap things up? He said that he wanted to do it to spend more time with his family and all those kind of things. And so the writers really, really went out of their way, created this huge, big multiverse event that makes it so that Oliver Queen can't come back. I'm not going to do any spoilers for you guys because you definitely should watch that crossover episode. That crossover episode was an incredible crossover episode. I mean, you're able to link Birds of Prey, Smallville, Urza Miller's Flash, and not Kevin Spacey. What's his name? Kevin Conroy's Batman, all into one show. Oh man, that's pretty fucking awesome. But this show had definitely run its course, and 7 seasons was way, way, way too long for Arrow, especially in a universe that had gotten a lot more juvenile, I guess is a good way. Like, there's just a lot more fantastical elements, and Arrow kind of doesn't fit in that anymore, even though it launched itself as this big kind of staple, dark, serious show. So it's really interesting to see that Arrow getting the cancellation, but it was at the request of Stephen Amell, and it was because he wants to do more things with his life other than just being the Green Arrow. And hey, that's fair. And 8 seasons is a hell of a long run. So that's nothing to be disappointed in my opinion. Jake, did you get a chance to catch any of the crossover episode where Stephen Amell said his parted out?
No, like that's something that I'm actually kind of disappointed in. I was going to say, we actually talked about things like Arrow, the show. We talked about Arrow and reviewed Arrow on a weekly basis on Geeklife in college.
Yeah.
And
great.
so on this show, we would talk about Arrow almost every week and what happened in the episode and stuff like that, because, we were all such big fans of it for the longest time. Yeah. And then when Flash came out, we added that to the lineup. When Gotham came out, we added that to the lineup. And then it almost got to where it was like, damn, guys, there's a lot of superhero shows. I don't think we can watch them all.
The headlines, right?
And so, but Arrow was that OG. It was one of those that we talked about in the very beginning because it kind of started. I don't want to say it started because there's always obviously been some kind of live action superhero shows, right? Like you can go all the way back to Superman back in the day and stuff. But still, it's one of those where it definitely kicked it off for this timeline or this time period. And I loved the guy who played Oliver Queen.
Stephen Amell.
Yeah, Stephen Amell. And so I liked him a lot. I thought he did a great job. And he was a good actor for something that sometimes would kind of seem like a little cheesy, because Arrow did up the cheese sometimes. And so that was the cool thing about it, though, is that it was kind of like a masculine soap opera, if you will, Yeah. And I thought that was always funny that it
was funny to me because I'd have people come and be like, you're just watching a fucking soap opera. It's like, no, it's not. It's a superhero show. It's different.
This is Days of Our Lives, and you're like, no, it's not. It's Arrow. He's
gonna shoot bad guys later.
But I do hope that this opens the kind of the floodgates for Green Arrow to start making more appearances in the actual DC movie universe.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I know the show version has always been so highly popular, and I don't know if that's why DC has kind of been afraid to bring him to the big screen because of the success of the show.
Well, they got Urza Miller and Grant Gustin. You know?
And so I really hope that it does make that we get to see Green Arrow in the next Justice League of some sort.
Right. That'd be really cool to see. That would be very, very cool to see. But that would be really cool to see. I don't know exactly how to transition to the next thing. Number 2 on our countdown is Schitt's Creek.
Speaking of really cool things to see.
Exactly.
Speaking
of really cool things. Good.
Yeah, Schitt's Creek was great. And it's coming to an end, unfortunately. So the end is coming, Schitt's Creek fans, whether you're ready or not. The critically acclaimed CBC Pop TV comedy has officially wrapped production on its 6th and final season. And this is not really a cancellation, rather one of those mutual, it's time to end things. The creators were like, hey, we think 6 seasons is enough, to which, I think Pop TV was like, okay, that's good enough. And it's still something that we're really bummed to see go this year. It was a great source of joy during this quarantine, and I can't wait for the final season to come to Netflix. If you're listening to this from Canada or the EU, I believe you already have all 6 seasons of Schitt's Creek, and in which case, fuck you. But but if you're in the U.S. right now, we're still waiting on season 6. Or you could always use a VPN, is what all these people tell me. But we don't have one that has sponsored this podcast yet, so I'm not going to be shouting any of those out. But no, Schitt's Creek was great, man. It's Dan Levy, which is the son of the dad from American Pie, which is Dan Levy. He's in it.
Yeah.
And so, but what is his son's name? Is it Rob? I think it's Rob Levy. Anyway, yeah. Ooh, David. Thank you, chat. Okay. I love Schitt's Creek, though. It's been a great show, and it's just one of those wholesome comedies, man. Like it's one of those that like it's hard to explain, but it's made me binge it straight through, and I'm sad to see it go, but it does. It is gonna, I believe, wrap up in a beautiful way, because the 5th season started to feel like, okay, how long can they run this shitty hotel? And so now I feel like the 6th season is going to put a nice little bow on it, and I'm excited to see how they end it.
Yeah, it should be a good one.
Show.
If you've checked out Schitt's Creek, I haven't actually gotten a chance to check out more than a couple episodes.
Yeah, I really like this show, and the family just reminds me so much of my family. It's kind of scary sometimes just to see all their dynamics.
Yeah.
Even had people tell us, "Oh, you're like that family from that show," and we're like, "Yeah."
I love
man.
Laura Rose. How she pronunciates things is like, it's my favorite thing to do. I'll sometimes walk around the house and just pronounce things like Mora. Like we just need some just. Fuck, now I can't even think of anything. But it's my favorite accent. Like, I love how she kind of pronunciates words.
Just over exaggerates so dramatic about everything. David, yeah. So I saw, what was it, like a COVID chart of like you going through the different months with memes of Moira Rose, and just it's wonderful.
There used to be an Instagram account called Shit Mora Says, and they changed it to like some other account after it grew. It was one of those bait switches that kind of pissed me off, because I think they ran out of content. But like whenever it was like it would basically have like all of because Moira Rose's like vocabulary is one of those that it's legendary. Like, she uses words that like you could never fathom. Like, I don't know these words, and so
that's
it's like
my mom to a T.
Yeah, and so like it would always have the word with the definition, and then it would show Mora using it in a sentence, and I would always be like, oh my god, like love it. I'm gonna miss the show a lot. Dotson, you should definitely check it out if you have a chance. It's
I've checked out the first couple of episodes, and I didn't get too hooked into it. Maybe I should give it some more time, because I know that it's got nothing but rave reviews from everybody.
It does take a little while to grow on you. For me, it started as one of those background noises. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I kind of like, people were like, no, you need to watch it. And so I kind of threw it on, let it play in the background while I did some other stuff or whatever. By the like end of the first season, I was kind of like hooked. And then the rest of them, it just, you just kind of want to binge through.
It gets a little sappy, I feel like, towards the end, but yeah. First few seasons, super strong.
Exactly. Well, we're down to the number 1 on our countdown. And we honestly couldn't have this countdown without talking about our number 1 on the countdown here, which is Cops, Live PD, Criminal Minds, almost all the cop shows that got canceled this year. And these got canceled for a damn good reason, in my opinion. Now, I mean, Cops ran for 33 seasons. That's insane. Live PD only ran for 4, but was doing really, really good viewers and ratings wise. And all this, of course, all these shows got canceled in the wake of George Floyd and his death and the protests that happened afterwards, where we kind of started, as a country, kind of looking at these shows and being like, well, are we glorifying police? Like, is this propaganda? And it absolutely was. I mean, I don't know how else to fucking say it. It absolutely was. It was propaganda. I mean, I remember to bring this to a personal experience, I remember when I got arrested back in high school, way back in the day. My brother's first thing he said to me was, I thought you watched enough episodes of Cops to know what to do. And the situation that I was in, I felt that I did the right thing, which was run from the fucking cops, because they're going to do some fucked up shit to me, because I've seen episodes of them doing so on cops, At the
100%.
time, I wasn't really calculating the white privilege aspect into there with it, but it was something that it's something that needed to happen, and I think that we should really go back and look at some of our stuff. I mean, like, one of the shows that I thought about that I had a hard time and I struggled with that did kind of feel like propaganda was Gotham. But when you think about Gotham, I mean, especially in today's context, it's kind of fucking scary because Jim Gordon is someone that you heroicize with and empathize with. But Jim Gordon is also a cop who breaks the law and aids vigilantes. And we see now what's going on in Kenosha about what happens, what that actually looks like. It's not as fucking cool, okay? It's not as something that looks very clearly like someone is doing the right thing and the wrong thing here. It's something that's ambiguous. It's something that, ambiguous to some, not to anybody with a plain sense of morality, or that's actually just able to, understand what's going on here. But there's been tons of problems with these shows. I mean, Live PD was caught destroying film at the arrest of an arrest that later led to a death, and I mean that's aiding and abetting, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, 100%.
You do shit like that, and we really shouldn't have things that. I mean, I feel very, very strongly that we should not have that these shows were canceled for a very good reason, and that our practice of creating buddy cop shows and shows that show the police officers as these guys with these hard jobs and they're struggling to do what they can, and sometimes they just got to break the rules because they have to for the betterment of society. That's not what policing actually looks like. And when the police are breaking the rules that are meant there to protect us, they're failing at their job. And that's how they should be. That's how that should be shown. We shouldn't heroicize someone being shitty at their job.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And most of these shows were just used like like you said, propaganda. Like they were used, like Cops wasn't used as much. Like Cops 33 seasons. That's anime seasons, by the way. Yeah. Like this is like Cops definitely had a good
One Piece
run.
Is like damn.
Yeah, I know. And so like Cops definitely had a good run. Like it's good. Live PD, on the other hand, it's been caught doing some pretty, like Cops I think has done some deplorable shit, but Live PD is the one that I actually have heard about some of the deplorable shit. I don't know what Cops has done, but 33 seasons, I'm pretty sure it did something. Right. But Live PD, they destroyed tape of people being arrested. They've been caught multiple times doing that. They've been caught actually being paid by cities' PR teams. So like say Baltimore was like having like this whole thing where like, everybody was talking about how shitty the cops were. Cops are beating people. Cops are doing bad. So the cops like in the city would pay Live PD to come in and do an episode showing a cop like helping an old lady or like giving somebody a traffic violation, but being like super, cool about it. Like they would always, cause you know how cops always want to tell you there's just some bad apples, right? So there's obviously some okay dudes who chose to be cops. And so you'll see like episodes of those guys, the one or two good cops they found. And like, it'll be that guy going around being like, I just love protecting the community, and so then it makes people think, oh, that's all cops. All cops love protecting the community. They're not like spouting all this bullshit. But really, that was like just one good cop on this force, right? Yeah. Like
one of the things that always used to aggravate me is when you see the videos of people like the cops pulling someone over and it's like, ma'am, I didn't think you realized, but you're in violation of free pizza day, and here's a pizza. And then like giving them pizza. Like, oh, thank you. Oh my God, you're so nice. I know,
I love those.
I was like, really, giving someone a literal fucking panic attack because they got pulled over for the cops, so you give them fucking pizza. I mean, fuck you. That's not a good thing. That doesn't make you good.
Where the person has like fear.
Yeah.
In their eyes because they're like, a person of color or whatever, and they're being pulled over and they're just like, I wasn't doing anything illegal. And the officer's like, well, yeah, you did. You forgot to stop for a piece of pizza, and you're just like, Jesus fucking Christ, read the room, police. Like, what? But yeah, I agree with you. These shows, like it's one of those where like it's definitely they ran their course for the most part, like Cops, and it's not like it's not cool glorifying the police in any way. So like I think it's one of those where like they kind of ran their course, but it does bring up like I think we even talked about it last time about shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah. And like other shows that are like very much shows that I love. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Hey, I'll admit I've watched every season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I do like it. It is one of those shows that I think differently on
it's going to be interesting
2020 vision.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with 2020 if it gets the 2020 treatment, like how they treat Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And so when it comes back, if it comes back after COVID, because it left on a cliffhanger too. Like it was one of those where the last episode of 9/9 before they went on break, kind of like left you hanging. And so it's going to be interesting to see whenever they come back, what they do, because they've already talked about we kind of need to address it. And, as a fan of the show and as somebody who's like looking, from the outside in, like you said, with 2020 vision, it's like, yeah, police brutality and your cop show, you're definitely like gonna probably need to address that one.
Exactly. Bronwyn, are you sad to see any of these shows go?
I think the saddest one for me is BoJack and Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. I was just talking about the Cops Live PD. Stuff.
I thought you meant on the whole list.
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't care about these shows.
Yeah, fuck them.
But BoJack, yeah, definitely a bummer.
Yeah,
BoJack, yes, I'm much more sad to see BoJack go than I am Live PD or any of those propaganda shows. But with that said, that'll about do it for us for tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, if you like what you heard on the show tonight, please feel free to give us a follow or subscribe. You can subscribe and watch our show ad-free if you'd like. Big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, and video producer, Cape. And thank you guys for all the follows. I don't know if we got any new follows yet. No, I don't think we did. If you guys like what you see and you want more content, you can always follow us on our personal socials, which mine is Rusebane, WRUSEVA_BANE. You can catch Jake. Where can they catch you?
At Gonzo Gone Live, on the Twitch and on the Twitterverses. It's right over here in this little corner area over here.
In that area, yeah. And Brahman, where can they catch you?
You can catch me at Space Nymph on the Twitch and on the Instagram over here.
We're all trying to make sure we point in the right spot.
It's mirrored, so it messes with me.
It is a little weird with the mirror on there. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stick around. We've got a quick Wonder Woman trailer that we made that we were trying to play on the break, but we couldn't get any sound. So we're going to try to give that another shot here in a second. But yeah, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Get it right, Cape.
From the studio that brought you the absolute dumpster fire that was Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, and basically every other DC disappointment comes a movie that should have come out months ago. The second iteration of the first female-led superhero movie of all time. That remains one, if not the only, glimmer of hope in an otherwise clusterfuck of billion-dollar flops. Wonder Woman 84. Featuring nostalgic 80s vibes so your boomer parents can still say they had fun. And Kristen Wiig as the rejected Cat's character from hell. Wonder Woman 84. Just come out on video on demand already. Or DCU. Or HBO Max. Wherever the hell DC is deciding to send content to die these days.
Wonder Woman 84.